Long-time viewers of the show may remember a few years ago I watched a rather unusually toned kids film attempting to cash in on the Home Alone franchise, Little Heroes. A film about two super intelligent and energetic dogs by the name of Hercules and Samson who foiled two bumbling criminals' attempts at abducting a child of a witness to a larger criminal incident. While the film itself was quite underwhelming and kind of forgettable, all things considered, I came to the conclusion that as background fodder for your average 6-year-old trapped in the house on a rainy weekend, it might just about be palatable. But God help the parents who had to sit through it. Well, I found out they made not one, but 2 sequels to Little Heroes. And today, after a chance encounter in a charity shop, we're going to be checking out the sequel, 2000's dog story Little Heroes 2. A film that seemingly is having an identity crisis as the film itself is still trying to ape Home Alone, but now the branding's got in on the act and is trying to piggyback off the then recently released Toy Story 2 stylisation of font. The plot picks up with Hercules, Samson and Charlie about a year or so after the events of the first film. Charlie is currently hanging out with his dad, his mum's in New York away on business, and so his Aunt Karen has swung by to help out around the house ahead of a rather special gift. You see, Aunt Karen works for the Navy in PR, and as a treat to Charlie, she's agreed to take him on a little vacation to a nearby naval base while she's on business, just so that he can hang around on site, see tons of cool battleships and weapons of mass destruction, and, just shoot the breeze with some mariners and such. This is pre-9/11, baby! These guys don't need to fear nothing at this point. They're bringing Hercules and Samson along for the ride, and when they arrive at the base, Charlie's offered a tour of the main vessel. But before that, Aunt Karen needs to get to business, so Charlie is given the chance to just free roam around the naval base. It's at this point that we're reintroduced to our bumbling abductors from the last film, Slick and Carney, who are seeing out a longish stint in jail for, attempted kidnapping as part of a witness intimidation scheme. And seemingly, they're both being plagued with nightmares of being chased and attacked by adorable costumed dogs, a trauma response to their run-in with Hercules and Samson. The film takes no time at all to bust out footage from the first film to pad the runtime, and it's revealed that the pair are basically punching bags for the other inmates, and that they've willingly volunteered for neurotherapy sessions with a prison doctor who has a helper monkey and is really keen on electroshock therapy. The doctor takes some time to explain to the pair that because their nightmares are stemming from trauma, one of the only ways to fully resolve it will be to confront that trauma head on and gain closure. The pair take a few laps of having closure explained to them before they realise that means that they've got to go and find the dogs that traumatised them and face their fears, which they can't do because, they're in jail. At which point the doctor leaves to take a call and his helper monkey fries them alive on the electroshock machine. Meanwhile, back at the naval base, Samson and Hercules seem to be forming some kind of pop band when they spot a fisherman lose his footing and fall directly into the harbour. Clearly struggling, the pair jump into action, rescuing the old man and saving the day. This somehow immediately draws the attention of several local news teams, the police and the ambulance service, who all race to the scene, and within moments the pair are given full-page newspaper spreads, medals of bravery, and Charlie and Aunt Karen are given VIP all-access passes to Universal Studios Orlando. For some reason. Back in jail, our baddies are doing the laundry when, wouldn't you know it, an army of prisoners turn up to cause the pair trouble. But, by sheer incompetence, Carney drops the whole box of detergent into the washer and floods the laundry room with suds. In the confusion, the pair accidentally fall down a laundry chute and into a huge hamper, which is then loaded into the back of a van and driven out of the jail. Our pair travel for miles before eventually managing to escape. They realise they're not too far away from one of Slick's old flames, Pat, a woodland-based engineer of sorts? A very angry woman who seemingly collects car parts. They head into the woods and find Pat's shack, and they're about to head inside when one of them spots a TV broadcasting news of Hercules and Samson's daring do-goodery, and where they're heading. The pair realise that's not too far from where they are now, and after an overly aggressive altercation with Pat that ends with her getting all buttered up by Slick, the pair make their way to Universal Studios Orlando. Charlie, Karen and the dogs arrive via limo to the theme park and are greeted by a representative from the park, who gives them a goodie bag, a full access VIP pass, and he introduces the gang to Charlie Chaplin, Woody Woodpecker, Frankenstein and Xena Warrior Princess. He asks if they'd like the guided tour, but Charlie declines, saying he'd prefer to figure it out for himself. While the humans enjoy the park, Hercules and Samson are taken to a special pet grooming area to be pampered lovingly. However, this isn't to be the case, as our baddies rock up at the park, immediately find their way to the pet area, lock the staff member in a cage and prepare to inflict torment on the dogs. Only, that doesn't happen. The dogs get the better of them and flee with our baddies not far behind. And that's basically it in terms of plot for the film, because shortly after that happens, our little heroes manage to find a control room for most of the theme park attractions, and the rest of the movie is just a montage of Slick and Carney stumbling onto Universal Studios rides and getting slapsticked Stooge style by the rides themselves. Or they end up in one of the backstage rooms and end up covered in mysterious fluids. With the B-plot basically just being Charlie and Karen also on Universal Studios Orlando rides, but they're having fun. In fact, neither party really meet each other until about 10 to 15 minutes off the end of the film, and that encounter is both brief and unfulfilling. In a cynical but tolerable hour and 26 time steal, will the baddies get closure? Will Charlie have a really nice time at Universal Studios Orlando? And all this and more will be answered if you check out Little Heroes 2. And frankly, there isn't a whole lot to say about this one. I need to stress that this is only my own opinion, but this is basically a near 90-minute movie that seemingly only exists as a naval recruitment film and a vacation destination promo video targeting children. The script's threadbare, the first act isn't terrible, it sets up the premise of the film fine enough, though it is a little sketchy on a believable continuity at times here, but it keeps a solid pace, establishes the tone, sets the focus of the characters, it does the job. Even if the Navy angle is a little bizarre and really does feel like it's only in the movie because they did some kind of promotional deal. But the second our gang enter Universal Studios Orlando, this film pretty much goes to shit. Everything grinds to a halt as we end up in a repetitive runaround with the bad guys that pretty much runs for the entire span of the rest of the film. I wish I could offer more thoughts in terms of what I saw in this one honestly, but that's literally all that happens. It's 40-ish minutes of the baddies going into a ride, getting slapsticked by the ride, and leaving the ride to go on another ride, while the dogs sit in the control room, intercut with Charlie and Karen smiling and cheering on Jaws and Jurassic Park. That's all. The third act does tie things off at least a little bit, giving the baddies an actual confrontation with Hercules and Samson, but that's in the final 10 minutes of the movie and everything gets tied up incredibly quickly to the point that it almost undercuts the one interesting plot piece the film had. One thing the script actually does do quite well is it flips the script from the first film. Whereas the first put the heroes and Charlie at the forefront of the picture, this one actually gives Slick and Carney the limelight, with the main drive of the film being them trying to find the dogs to achieve closure, while still not entirely knowing what closure is. Which is kind of funny, and very much does work in the film's favour because it allows there to be a clear motivation for the film's drive. And it does kind of deliver a fun-ish resolution to that plot, but it stretches their story out so much with the padding and the over-explanation of things that, honestly, it just left me kind of fed up and super annoyed that I'd basically been tricked into watching a promo video. Charlie and Karen basically don't need to be in this movie past the first act. They're literally just catalysts here. They only exist to get Hercules and Samson to Universal Studios Orlando. Once they get there, they more or less vanish, and in the final act, when they finally do bring Charlie back into the picture, he really doesn't do very much of anything. He just sort of skulks about and seemingly is only there to do a few people-y things that they couldn't get the dogs to do. Oh, and they give him a go-kart at the very end that, again, isn't important to the plot and is seemingly just there because the film needed something a little faster paced than what was on offer. I will also say, while it's not perfect, I am quite happy that tonally they've picked a lane here. The first film was this weird hybrid of Home Alone knockoff and a kind of espionage thriller. It jarred quite badly in places and wasn't a particularly enjoyable experience in my opinion. This one decided to just go all in on Three Stooges style dumb comedy. And it works pretty well here, all things considered. Like I say, it isn't exactly award-winning, but the dumb humour's played quite well, the jokes aren't great but land more than the original. It's fine. It's that combined with the decision to switch focus to Slick and Carney that actually nudged this one into being better than the original for me, honestly. The script was written by Richard Preston Jr., Brad Sergi and Thomas Garner. Richard has over 20 writing credits and you may remember him from one of our previous reviews, Dark Breed. Ugh. He seems to have worked in a few genres with titles such as LA Heat, Hologram Man and Mystic Knights of Tir-na-nog. Meh. Brad and Thomas both have around 5 writing credits each. Thomas has 4 and 3 of those are for Little Heroes movies. They both share a short and Brad has appeared in one more short than Thomas. The pair are really more actors than writers. I speculated in my Little Heroes review that the writing credit here may be for improvised or on-set line work. I don't know for certain, but I'd be inclined to believe it for both of these movies at least. The film was directed by Henry Char. He has 21 directing credits across film, TV movies and direct-to-video work. He mainly seems to work in drama with titles such as Heart of Fear and Under Lock and Key, and he directed all the Little Heroes movies, with his last credit being in 2019. And, on the direction front... So, the direction work here is better than the original in my opinion. In a way, it kind of had to be because, you know, Universal Studios Orlando. But while I feel it's more polished than the original, it's certainly lost some of its heart along the way. It's being approached like a promo video for the most part. In both the Navy and theme park scenes, it's all low-angle gliding shots, smooth, clean edits. It looks great, but it's clear that the director is working with a commercial mindset rather than trying to give the film its own unique identity. It wouldn't surprise me, honestly, if the film got made as a result of the team scoring some promo gigs and they got a bit cheeky and asked if they could film a few extra scenes here and there for a movie while making the promo. Direction of the cast is fine enough as well. With there being so much slapstick going on, nailing exact cues is important, and I feel like they managed to do a pretty good job on the execution. That being said, the budget and location has clearly limited what they were able to do, so while there are a couple of interesting moments, a lot of it is down to half-hearted pratfalls and occasionally getting covered in gunk. Outside of that, the more traditional cast direction's actually kinda flat. Not particularly engaging, it's pretty much just people entering frames, standing around in the middle of the shot and then exiting, with almost no set interaction and nothing too much more intense than a reaction shot, which is disappointing. As mentioned, the Cine is a bit more polished than the original, but doesn't quite feel as creatively alive. Shots are nicely composed for the most part, they follow the rule of thirds, they largely stick to solid blocking, but it all feels a bit cold and clinical. Colour use isn't really utilised as well as it could have been, there's no specific colour themes present here either, and when given the opportunity to produce a really vibrant and colourful film, it seems like for the final grade they decided to just mute a lot of the more vibrant choices. Which is a real shame, as I think going for something a bit more hyper-colourful and considered really would have helped give this film a much needed boost. The edit too is a little underwhelming. It's a lot better than the original, transition cuts have been kept to a minimum, but there isn't as much B-roll as I'd like to help give the scenes more life, and the cuts are a little too spaced out compared to a generally tighter package. It's fine, but it really struggles to rise above okay. Performance-wise, Brad Sergi and Thomas Garner really get centre stage here, and they're actually alright leading actors. I guarantee a subsection of my audience will find them utterly insufferable, and I can totally see that. But for me, having sat through a lot of bad kids movies in my time, I didn't really have a problem with them here. They're energetic, really get into their roles, they have a couple of half-decent lines, they throw themselves into the physical comedy. It feels like they learnt, grew and built on the characters they created in the first film. I had no real issues with them. What I did have a problem with was everybody else. Now I don't really talk about child actors so I won't comment on that, but almost all of the supporting cast are super dry on their deliveries. They're stiff in their physical performances and really struggled to land any kind of presence with me. Across the board, they just really couldn't bring an energy to this picture, which really hindered the production in my opinion. And finally, the soundtrack. It's similar synthy MIDI oompahs that the first film had. It sounds cheap and unpleasant. I didn't like it. It's ill-used, ill-fitting, and kind of misses the mark, leading to an underwhelming experience. Little Heroes 2 was released in 2000. It didn't get a VHS release, and from what I can see, didn't get a DVD release in the UK until 2007, when it was picked up by Boulevard Entertainment for the first and final time to date. Picture quality is fine enough, it is starting to show its age a little bit by this point, but it's more than watchable. Extras consist of a trailer, and that's it. It's not a great experience, honestly. I've also found a triple DVD pack called the Dog Story box set, but it's currently unavailable on Amazon, and as far as I can see, Amazon is the only place it could be purchased, so I don't know. Little Heroes 2 is not a great viewing experience. It seems almost like they've traded heart for technical enhancement. It's, broadly speaking, an improvement over the original, and does have some half-decent things going on inside of its runtime, but its over-reliance on locations it's shooting in to try and give the illusion of being a bigger budgeted production than it is, ultimately backfires for it in my opinion, resulting in a film that grinds to a halt in terms of plot progression about 30 minutes in and never really manages to get back from that. If you were going to show your kids one of these movies, I think they'd probably prefer this one to the original, but much like last time, I don't think it'll hold their attention for long. I feel like it'd be best suited as a background movie you dip in and out of while doing something else. Definitely not movie night fodder, and absolutely not something I'd rec to your average cult film fan. Little Heroes 2 is meh. Solid meh, but meh nonetheless.